Good evening.
I've seen better. What's on your mind?
The interest of the community.
That's a scream.
Joe Norton was blown up last night.
That's a tragedy.
Well, look, we're not going to get anywhere this way.
You call me. I didn't call you.
Norton ran the operation across the river. Very important figure. He was our guest in town last night.
No doubt you'll want to send flowers.
Gunn is going to be a rumble. Big one. They peg us for the kill. They'll try and even it up.
Then I'll send flowers.
Yeah, we don't want any heat. This is yours. Just get us the guy who killed Norton.
So you can kill him? You can keep your money and your problems.
Not just our problems, Gunn. Might become yours. A lot of innocent people could get hurt.
I'm very impressed. You sound like the Chamber of Commerce.
See how this sounds. Remember the gang wars of the 30s? People gunned down in the streets? All kinds of people. You want to buy that? You want to buy this? We didn't kill Norton. We wouldn't have called you if we had.
Look, I'm no middleman for assassins this side or the other side of the river.
Look, Gunn.
Tell you what I'll do. I'll look up your boy. Only if I find him, I turn him over to the police. Not you.
Good enough. All we're trying to prove is we're clean.
As I said when I came in, that's a scream. Little something for the police fund.
Police fund?
Yeah, you know, young patrolmen, aging lieutenants.
Funny, we didn't get any call on a bank robbery.
You'd die if you knew where that came from.
Kill me.
Brannick and the mob.
What do they want?
Serenity.
Oh.
The Joe Norton killing. He claims they had nothing to do with it.
Well, they probably didn't. They run a large, extensive operation. They get nailed for the Norton killing, the boat sinks.
Funny. He said the same thing.
So they're paying you to pluck the pigeon, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, this aging lieutenant thanks you very much for your donation. But let's not stumble over each other, Pete.
How's that?
I want the Norton killer, too. And if I don't get him in a hurry, I won't have enough policemen to handle what might happen here. Nobody has.
Fighting! Fighting, people. Oh, lovely, lovely.
Well, I'm not talking about that kind of fighting, Sean. I'm talking about guns and bullets.
Oh, I know a bit about them, too. Will you give me a shoulder, boy?
What?
Just underneath. A little gently. I take the time of the trouble with the black and tan. That there was a fight. Oh, I got about a bit in that time, I did.
Sean.
Where do I remember
Sean.
that? Yeah.
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. You're right.
I'll take it easy.
All right. Hey, have you got it now?
I got it.
Over to the bench.
All right.
Up a little bit. There, that's right. Now, wait. What was your point?
The point is, you move in interesting circles.
No, me love. I've stopped all that. I've a fine new trade which takes up all my time.
You're still a nosy little leprechaun. Some early morning out among the toadstools, wouldn't you be apt to hear something?
About what, man?
About who killed Joe Norton?
The nerve of the fella. Will you listen to him now? He's an informer that you're being called me.
I'm calling you a man that might be interested in a couple of bottles of Irish whiskey.
You can't beat the boy. 'Tis a fine flair and style he's got. Lovely, lovely.
Who killed Joe Norton?
It'll take quite a bit of ear to the ground. But I'll get back to you, Peter, lad.
Well, we had to do it right. Al's going to take over the numbers, the books. He's the vice president of our organization now. Al, That entitles you to cut the cake. Waiter, get him a knife. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny, for he's a jolly good fellow.
You look familiar.
Well, you see, I'm a familiar type fellow.
Oh? How familiar?
Oh,
That's pretty familiar.
where are you?
I'm in the rainy season.
How's that?
But when the rains come and they close this terrace, where are we going to be?
Oh, in front of a roaring fire.
Oh, whose? Yours, mine, or ours?
That's a pretty sneaky proposal.
Dad, the end accomplishes the means. Aren't you interested in the future?
Sure.
What are your immediate plans?
Oh, you.
Oh, that's touching.
I'm waiting.
Pete, someone on the phone.
Who is it, Barney?
I don't know. Sounds like the French Revolution.
Vive la France!
On verra voir si c'est vrai, ça. Je te dis, et je te dirai, et je ne cesserai jamais de te dire que ce gâteau est le plus succulent gâteau que tu n'as jamais vu, et que ce gâteau stinks.
Anatole. Look, I can't understand a word. Now, will you speak English?
I'm sorry, Pierre, but 100 times I tried to tell him, and he does not listen.
I listen. I don't get the tune.
Anatole, the lieutenant doesn't speak French either.
No, monsieur, quelle honte. A bomb in the cake of Anatole.
Some bomb. Blew up half a dozen racket men, top echelon. Al Kane, Mendoza, like that.
Well, where does Anatole figure?
Bomb was in his cake.
Huh? And he thinks I do that? Huh? He will get me to the guillotine. I knew. Oh, please, Pete, you must help me. I'm innocent. I swear it on the head of Maurice Chevalier.
He says one of the waiters took the cake in, doesn't see which one.
He's an old friend. How could he possibly be involved?
We checked with all the waiters, and none of them admitted taking the cake in.
Huh? Ah! Ah! I hope you are satisfied. You have done it. With your loud voices, your heavy feet. You have ruined it. Oh, my souffle.
Waiter. Found him in a closet in the waiter's dressing room. Claims somebody slugged him from behind.
You didn't see what he looked like?
No, I didn't.
Take him down to emergency.
Come on.
Explosive night.
Yeah, whoever he is, he's doing a great job. Incredible job. Some of the boys have got the jumps. Got word that a carload of them are moving out of town. Spend a career trying to figure these files. Where do you start? 3 bombings, all different. He never did the same thing twice.
This leaves you a lot of cases to solve.
There are no new operators in town. It can't be a gang war, but gangsters keep getting killed.
Funny.
Wasn't intended to be.
These records. All these boys came to trial.
Well, not exactly. They were all indicted by the grand jury, but most of them never saw the inside of a courtroom.
Interesting.
Frustrating. You got something working?
Yeah. I've always wanted to explore our American jury system. Who was foreman of last year's grand jury?
Arthur Wilkie. A name forever engraved in my memory. Arthur Wilkie. I spoke to him every 20 minutes last year. Records, records, records. Sure was a crime-busting jury, all right. It's a shame they struck out.
You got an address on Arthur Wilkie?
You got an idea? You get the address.
I don't quite understand your point, Mr. Gunn. Are you sure I can't get you something to drink?
Oh, thanks.
We like to feel we did a good job.
Oh, I'm sure you did, Mr. Wilkie.
After all, a grand jury can only compile the evidence and request indictments. What happens after that?
Well, probably what happened is you ran into a couple of very talented lawyers.
Well, then, exactly what are you asking?
Well, the members of the jury, did any of them seem to have a personal axe to grind?
In what way?
Well, did they seem to have a particular militant attitude toward underworld figures? You know, a determination to punish, perhaps?
Well, Mr. Gunn, we're sworn in without prejudice. Just a bunch of ordinary citizens trying to do a job. We all took our work seriously. Some, perhaps, a little more determined than others.
For instance?
I was thinking of Mr. Barnaby and his notebook.
Notebook?
Yes, a charming, determined little man, Mr. Barnaby. He copied everything down in his little book. I think jury duty was the first public service he ever performed. Seemed thrilled by it.
I see. Well, do you have any idea where I might locate this charming and thrilled Mr. Barnaby?
Well, I must have his address somewhere.
I said, is Mr. Barnaby home? Down there? Mr. Barnaby?
Yes?
Oh. My name is Gunn.
Oh, how nice. Excuse me for not shaking hands, but I'm working. Come in.
Well, I don't want to disturb your work.
Oh, no, not at all. Oh, it's so nice to have company. It's very nice.
Mr. Barnaby, I understand you were on the grand jury last year.
Yeah, I was the first one selected.
So a lot of people were indicted, and it seems that there have been a series of accidents tonight.
Yeah. Oh, those weren't accidents, Mr. Gunn.
You know about them?
I caused them.
You killed 14 people?
It was 15.
Mr. Barnaby, don't you know that killing people's against the law?
Well, that depends on how one looks at it.
How does one look at it?
These weren't people, Mr. Gunn. Not people at all. Gangsters. A black mark on the escutcheon of society.
Yes, well, don't you think that's a decision for the courts?
But they didn't even get into court. And I know, I was there.
Well, the point is you should have more patience.
Mr. Gunn, time and tide wait for no man. And oh, drat.
Mr. Barnaby, I'm sure we're both philosophical men, but I think we should discuss our respective philosophies with a detective friend of mine.
Gladly, yes, but not now.
I'm afraid I'll have to insist.
I wouldn't. No, not at all. Oh, dear, no.
What's that?
It's a bomb. Another step and I'll be obliged to drop this. We wouldn't want that, would we?
Hardly.
Moreover, I wouldn't like to waste this.
No, don't do that.
You see, I have a place for this. My coup de grace. Oh, a very eminent hoodlum. He steps into his elevator in exactly 3 hours, and I drop this down the elevator shaft. Whew.
Mr. Barnaby, what are you going to be doing during the next 3 hours?
Doing? Well, I'll just be waiting and contemplating, and perhaps start another bomb.
Yes, well, it's been nice meeting you.
Oh, Miss Gunn, please don't slam the door on the way out, because, you know.
Preposterous thing I ever heard of.
Bombs away.
If word of this gets out, the newspapers will bury us.
Well, you're forgetting that Mr. Barnaby is in charge of funeral arrangements.
This is insane.
That's what I tried to tell Barnaby.
One-man reign of terror who's still voting for Calvin Coolidge.
What's wrong with Coolidge?
Now, look.
Lieutenant, you sent a bomb squad over there. They'll probably bring him back, and it'll all be over with.
Hello. Oh, fine. That's all I needed. All right, stay there. I'm sending more men. He has flown. Now all we got to do is cover the whole city. Davis, I want you to set a stakeout on Barnaby's place. Get an APB out on him immediately. Yeah. It's going to be great.
Now, don't worry about it. He can't go far.
All right, we capture him. So we haul him into court. And his lawyer puts him on the stand. Can you hear him? I did it in the interest of the community. So who's going to argue with him? The judge, the jury, the DA? The public will build a statue of him. They'll put it in the park.
Now, Lieutenant, don't get carried away.
Pete, this is an election year. If by any chance he happens to beat this rap, and the chance is very good, he could go all the way to the state capitol.
Governor Barnaby?
You name me one man who's done more for his town?
Edgar.
It's a little late for a call.
Well, I just wanted a few moments.
I don't know.
Edgar?
Well, the supervisor isn't around. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, now, Mortimer, don't push. I'll have to take some of that back. Now, gently. Gently. Estes, I don't know what I'm going to do with Mortimer.
He's young and still growing, dear.
How are things at home, dear? Are you taking your vitamins?
Oh, yes. I couldn't work without them.
And how is your work?
Oh, going along splendidly. Yes. I feel I'm making quite an impression.
You know what I always told you? You can do anything you set your mind to.
Yes, Emma. And you? How are you getting along here?
Delightful, dear. I've just been elected president of the Girls' Council.
Yeah. No. Oh, how nice. How nice.
There's just one thing, dear.
What's that, sweetheart?
I miss you. So much. You cannot go in there.
My dear young lady, my men have already been down there. I want to look for myself.
After they left, I read the encyclopedia. You need a search warrant.
You didn't read far enough. When the police have reason to suspect that a felony is being committed, a search warrant is not required.
Oh, poor Mr. Barnaby.
For Mr. Coolidge.
What's the hurry? What do you expect to find? You sent the bomb squad, and they picked up the bomb he was working on.
Yeah, well, maybe he's got a little more ammunition. Like that little black book of his. Harry, it's me, your lieutenant. Jacoby, I am not the enemy.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant. Good evening, gentlemen. Well, there's no need for violence. I'm unarmed. Perfectly harmless.
Yeah, like the Black Plague. Now, Mr. Barnaby, you want to tell us why you did it?
I believe that's evident. Somebody had to do it.
Would you say you did it in the interest of the community?
Yes, of course.
Come on.
We're going someplace?
Well, I wouldn't be overly alarmed. You're probably going to the state hospital.
The state hospital? Shady Glade?
That's the state hospital.
That's just like Emma said.
What did Emma say, Mr. Barnaby?
One can do anything if you set your mind to it.